going to thrive, if we're going to honor God in our post-Christian world, it's going to be so helpful for us to grasp the sovereignty of God. And this particular lesson is going to help us. This week, we're going to see this concept through two different dreams. We're going to study two dreams that reveal God's plans, God's big picture for Earth history. These two dreams, the first one was given to King Nebuchadnezzar. The second one was given to Daniel 50 years later. And yet, these two dreams are very similar in their content. They reveal magnificent truths about God's plan for Earth history. Now, this lesson is long, but I'm going to encourage you to stick with it because you're going to get some pieces of prophecy that are going to help you trust in the sovereignty of God. There are two things really in this lesson that we will learn. One of those is it will help us understand the character of God, and then something about Earth history, God's plans for the earth and the culmination of biblical and earth history. I want to begin by reading to you from Isaiah chapter 40. That's going to help us understand a little bit more about who God is. Isaiah writes, "Here is your God. See, the sovereign Lord comes with power, and his arms rule for him. Surely the nations are like a drop in a bucket. They are regarded as dust on the scales. Do you not know? Have you not heard? Has it not been told you from the beginning? He, God, sits enthroned above the circles of the earth, and his people are like grasshoppers. He brings princes to naught and reduces the rulers of this world to nothing. The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary, and his understanding no one can fathom." The Bible is revealing to us a God who is supreme in power, in position, independent and unlimited by any other. He is perfect. He controls everything. His will is absolute. He needs no one to complete him or sustain him. All-knowing, all-powerful, self-sufficient, self-existent, and unchanging. He is more powerful than all the rulers, earthly rulers put together. More than Alexander the Great put together with Napoleon, put together with all the British kings and all the presidents and for all time. And he establishes his own way and his rule as he desires. He created all things, so he has the right to rule. Now, he does give us freedom, freedom to make choices, and that's important because he wants us to love him. For some reason, a relationship with us is precious to God. And so our love for him, though, has to be freely given or it's not love. And yet, he knows everything. He knows the choices that we'll make. He's outside of time. And so his sovereignty is not dependent upon the choices that we make. Throughout the Bible, we see that he orchestrates his perfect purposes. And King Nebuchadnezzar learned this in our lesson this week. And we're going to see kings and rulers learn this throughout the book of Daniel. God overruled the cruel plans of Joseph's brothers to do him harm in Genesis. He overruled the Pharisees' plans to destroy the Son of God. In the book of Acts, we see that there was tremendous persecution in the early church, and yet that was the very thing that God used to take his people to the far corners of the earth and put roots deep down, so that a few centuries later, Christianity was the religion of the then known world. And God is working out his perfect purposes in your life and in my life as well. And what he asks of us is simply to trust him. And I know that's difficult, but what are our choices? We can resist, grumble, complain, We can accuse, we can end up depressed and lose sleep and live with a knot in our stomach, miserable and unable to function. Or we can believe that even what is in our life today, though it may be difficult, even the world we live in today, is His perfect purpose, that He's not surprised, and that we can find inner peace there. I love J.I. Packer's illustration of the sovereignty of God from his excellent classic, Knowing God. He uses a British train station illustration, and he says that if we were to stand on the platform down there where the British trains are coming and going, well, we would see them on a particular schedule that somebody has set, but basically it looks pretty much like chaos. But if we were privileged to go up to the platform, there's this signal box room up high. And in that room was a long wall diagram that showed every train and every place and why one stopped and why one needed to go and what the different schedules were and why another train was pulled off to the side. And if you could stand back and look at that whole picture, the big picture, then you would realize why certain trains needed to be diverted and other ones left at particular times and how it was all fitting together. Well, when God looks at our world, He sees the big picture. He sees all of the things that are going in. He orchestrates them for ultimate good. And we wish we could see the big picture, but the reality is that we stand on the platform and we don't always understand why God is doing what He is doing. And a lot of us make ourselves half crazy trying to figure out what God is doing, when in reality, what He's asking from us is to trust Him and to make good decisions in the situations in which we find ourselves. And to trust Him that He loves us, that He is sovereign, and that He will take care of all of the rest. From time to time, though, God gives us hints about what He is doing in world history to help us trust Him. I like to think of prophecy as a large puzzle in which throughout Scripture, here and there, God gives us pieces to fit together. Now, we won't have the whole picture until we meet Him face to face. Otherwise, we wouldn't need faith. But as we study the Bible, we gain puzzle pieces, hints, more and more of this picture of what God is doing to help us trust in His sovereignty. And in this lesson this week, you're going to get several foundational puzzle pieces. If you're a puzzle worker, you know that the corner pieces and the edges are very important. Well, what we're getting this week are some corner pieces and some foundation pieces that we're going to build on when we have more prophecy at the end of the book, and then even in other books of the Bible that are going to add to this puzzle. So I want you to savor this lesson. As I said, it is long, but you will learn about who God is and about what He's doing in world history that will help you to trust in His sovereignty, and this helps all of us to live in the post-Christian world in which we find ourselves.